to talk about the handwriting book today. Now, the handwriting book goes along with our scope and sequence in the Kendore Kingdom program. It has uppercase letters and lowercase letters. And the cool thing about this is not only does it have individual letters, but when we're talking about sounds and kids need to spell particular sounds, you can do this by the sound. So when kids are going to spell something like chip, this way they know ch is spelled CH. So it's got all of the different sounds in here throughout our entire curriculum, digraphs, as well as diphthongs all the way through. So right now I'm going to show you how to do this with the letter B. And this is our handwriting sheet for the letter B. We're going to make sure we look at this and we gather our tools. So we want to look at that little icon that has our tool belt, and the kids know that they have to get their red grid, their ink, their crayon, and a pencil. So now the first step is to talk about the letter B, the fact that it makes the B sound. When they're putting the grid underneath, you want to make sure that it's tilted at a 45-degree angle for them. I'm obviously trying to write upside down, so it's going to be a little bit different, but if they're left-handed, you want to make sure that it's tilted to their left, the top to the right, and vice versa for a righty. Now, the first thing we do is we're going to talk about the letter B. As the teacher, you would model the letter B. You would talk about things that have the B sound in them. You make sure that they're producing the sound crisply and clearly by saying B and not ba. And then we're going to practice our pencil grip, make sure that we have a good tripod grip, and then we're going to trace over the letter saying B says B, so that they practice. Now, the next thing we do is we trace over it with our finger and we see if we've gathered any evidence. And we have. We've gathered some evidence because our crayon has left behind residue because it went over the grid. So we've gathered a tactile letter. Then we come down and we switch to our pencil and we see our little inspector over here, and he's looking for clues. And so when we look at the letter B over here, what are our clues? Our clues that there's a circle where we start. It's inside of a shaded box, so we know where we're going to stay within, and we're going to follow our dotted lines. So we're going to do this 4 times. B says B, B says B, B says B, B says B. And we're done tracing those 4. Now we come down here and we see the icon where we have our little magnifying glass and a fingerprint, and that's telling us that we look for the clues here, but there's even less information than we had above. So here we see where we're going to start, we see the box that we're going to write in, and then we see our fingerprints in between for our spacing. And so here we're going to start at that dot, we're going to go down and up and around to make the letter B. And we're going to go ahead and do that all the way across to practice our letter formation so that we can get this into our motor memory, so that forming this letter B is quick and easy, and especially because a lot of kids have so much confusion between a B and a D, it's really good to practice this saying B says B, B says B. Because there's so much visual confusion, they don't typically have auditory confusion between B and D because they say my mom and dad, not my mom and Bab. So they know that there's a difference, they just have a hard time remembering which one is which. So now what we want to do is we want to fold it over, and we want to try to remember the scene of the crime, where we had our tools and our inspector and we were looking for clues. And we flip it over and we're going to try to remember, and we start here. And then I tell my students they have to get my approval after their first one because we want to make sure they're doing it correctly. Then they get to use the fingerprint ink to put a space in between, and then they get to make their next one. And then they get to use their fingerprint ink to make another one, and they can continue all the way along, and the fingerprint ink just wipes away, doesn't make a mess at all. And then they get that extra practice and they have a good time while they're doing it. The thing that makes this book so great for working on handwriting is that it's really a lot of fun. The kids really enjoy it. They get to use manipulatives and it helps them to learn them so quickly. But from a teacher's perspective, what you get to do is you get to repeat it a lot less because we use the tactile sensation of going over the red grid to reinforce their memory. We use the practice of repeating it multiple times, of fading away the cues and then flipping it over and remembering the scene of the crime. The kids love it because they get to follow this neat little poster. It's wanted, neat handwriting. Gather your tools and evidence, follow the trail, look for clues, remember the trail, and fingerprint the suspect. So for kids that really hate using, writing and doing handwriting and using handwriting books, they really enjoy this because of all the different modalities. And it reinforces it in their working memory so much better because of the repetition and because of the tactile nature of all of it, and as well as the fact that they're learning sound first instead of just letters. They're going to learn all the sounds that they need to write, not just letter names. It's not letter of the week. So they'll be learning sh and ch and all the different digraphs and diphthongs that they need to use to be able to write even words at a kindergarten level.